I want to thank Ojoma Ochai for the initiation and the initiative of this platform. Can you please give her a round of applause? It has been a great journey and it's been a good one. And as you all know, NIFS has been extended to like other countries. There's Paris, there's the UK, there's Canada, and it's been amazing. So all in all is making producers get value for their content, breaking barriers, having discussions that would open doors to many opportunities for Nollywood content. So thank you so much, Ojoma, and well done for this achievement. We won't take much of your time. We want to make everything chop and quick this year. So without much further ado, I think I'll call Ojoma to come give us her speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinwe. Good morning, everyone. And it's such a pleasure to have you all here. I can't afford to keep you all waiting any longer because there is an opening ceremony happening over there with the Minister of Information and other government officials. And you know the way it is with government. We don't need our schedule messed up, so we just have to start at the same time. Which normally we're supposed to actually wait for them to finish and then we start, but they didn't start on time and now it's beginning also to affect us. So please apologies for starting. We are always very much on time, starting a bit late this time around. So again, I want to say thank you, everyone, for finding time to be here. Some of you have been following us, and it's such a pleasure to see how far we have actually come. So there's a bit of confusion, 6th edition, 7th edition. We started in America 2017. That makes it 7th edition. And then we started Lagos 2018. So, you know, I just wanted to clarify that as well. As my manner is, please, I would just want to start with an opening prayer and then commit everything to God's hand and trusting God that He will see us through. So if you don't mind, please, I just want you to join me as we pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for another day. We thank you for another year. We thank you for another NIFS. You have brought us here. You have started with us all these years, and we are grateful for the journey so far. We want to pray and commit everything that we're going to do this year into your hands, that you will start with us and you will finish with us in Jesus' name. We ask that you take absolute control, that the doors will open and our objective and the purpose for which we bring people together will be exceeded in Jesus' name. Thank you for everything that you're going to do for us this year. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. So I'll just quickly run through my speech this year. Please, I hope you all have the agenda, the brochure rather. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome every one of you, as already said, to this year's NIFS. We've been offering our attendees a very rich and well-curated focus program. We've been driving high-level conversations and networking events, and this year, in partnership with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, that's having the Africa's exhibition. I'm sure you saw that there's a broadcast exhibition happening out there. So we are actually also going to run a content hub with different activities. And the whole essence actually is to see how we can stir up our ecosystem, our local ecosystem, to begin to do content business. So each year we travel to different markets in France, in South Africa, and the rest of them. But we can't actually underestimate the place of our industry as far as the creative industries in Africa is concerned. And that is why we're starting with the baby steps. You know, I've always had this conversation, why are you not doing a market, you know? And I said to people, I don't think we're there yet as an industry. As big as we are, you know, Nigerian industry doesn't just have the culture of buying content, of licensing content. There's a different model that we've seen working here locally in Nigeria. And that is why we need to actually build on that. that. Let people understand, let the broadcasters understand the place of, putting money, licensing content, and how that can actually completely transform the whole ecosystem in Nigeria, not just for film, but much more also for television. So, and of course, I thank God it's been a very eventful year for us, starting from Paris in April, where we took a delegation to France. We work with the French embassy every year to organize the NITV summit in France. So we did that, and it was very interesting because from Paris, we moved to Cannes for a TV market called MIP TV. Now, what I always tell producers is, the truth is, we are so self-sufficient as an industry. I mean, I'm kind of trying to summarize my speech. But again, we are so much international facing, and I'm trying to help people to understand that beyond Nigeria, please do your business in Nigeria, but there are opportunities out there as well. And that is why we are intentionally knocking at those doors and building those bridges. It's extremely important for us to also be exposed. When we say we are the second largest in the world, what exactly does that mean? How is it translating? So, almost everybody seated here, you have your business in Nigeria and it's doing well. If it's not doing well, you will not be here, right? But there's also a whole lot, and it all starts with exposure. So some of us we started this 15 years ago, or more than 15 years ago. I was taking producers to South Africa, to Nairobi, to Ghana, and I remember it was actually in one of the events, the market I used to work for them, Discop, that one of the associations, major associations, MCOAN, was formed in Accra in one of those markets, you see. And so some producers understand international business and international market, but my objective is to help everyone get to that level where when we get to these big markets, we are not lost. We can navigate our way. We know how to meet people, how to pitch our projects, how to, let people understand that, oh, I've got this content. Because, you can just sit in Nigeria, like I already said, and you're comfortable. But I can tell you, I've done this for more than 15 years, and I can tell you that there's a whole lot. You can even call it a residual revenue for your business. That may not be your core business, but there is definitely an opportunity out there that, we have been trying to open up for our local industry. And that's why this year we were in Paris, we were in London last week. Is it last week or 2 weeks ago? We were in Cannes this year, we were in Toronto, and then our Los Angeles event is supposed to be in November. We remain committed to expanding opportunities for the film and TV ecosystem and the entire Nollywood industry. We are being intentional, in our global positioning, very important. I already talked about being self-sustaining. Now, one of the things I found out this year in my traveling across different continents, meeting people, is the diaspora. The diaspora is huge out there. And the thing about the diaspora is they are hanging. They are hanging in the sense that they can't figure out their way to the local where they are coming from. They left Nigeria and they are in different places. They are in London, they are in UK, they are in London, they are in US, and of course in other places. But you see, even where they find themselves, they've not been able to integrate into the system. And then where they are coming from, there's a complete disconnect. And I say that, it has to be a win-win situation. We need them as much as they also need us. So it's very important that for us, one of the things we want to do in 2024 is to help to build, to make that connection with our diaspora, because I believe they've got the skills, they've got also the funding, and want to see how we can help connect the local industry and the diaspora to make sure that we are all scaling up and working together. So on the final note, I want to thank you all our partners, everyone who has, supported us in different ways. Some of our partners have been with us from France to London, traveling with us and supporting everything that we're doing. So we are so super grateful for everyone who who has supported us in different ways across different countries, and of course here in Lagos. And God helping us, we are committed to looking at, to knocking at different international doors, opening new opportunities for international business, for our key industry players. We are committed to driving very high-level business conversations and putting out the right information, the right data that will help people to understand what is happening in our industry. And those of you who are vested locally, please, I already said it, I encourage you, consider in 2024 to step out, okay? And expand your network. Go beyond Nigeria. There's a whole lot happening out there, especially with the digital, the whole digital migration thing. And there are a lot of opportunities for content people to be able to monetize their content. So on this note, I want to say thank you again. And please make sure you use the opportunity here to network and connect with people as much as possible. And I look forward to the testimonials of you always being part of Nigerian International Film and TV Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, IJ. So the takeaway is network, network, network. So I want to believe you've already started. I don't know about you, but I know I have met a couple of people already. So the whole essence of summits, markets, meet people. You never know who you'll be talking to. There's some people here that we meet maybe once every year. I don't know about you, there are people I've met them just once in a year, and it's always here. Why should that be so? But when you meet here, at least let that be the starting point. Actually, with someone I met here, and I've known her for long, and I never knew who she was, and she never knew who I was, and So the whole essence is to network, network, network. I didn't tell you my name. Sorry about that. I forgot. My name is Chinwe Chukudire. I'll be your compare for this event, and I will be working with another gentleman. I don't know if you know him, but he's Dan the Humorous. Please, Dan, this way, please. He's a comedian. I know him as a comedian, so I don't even know his real name. I think it's Daniel Mwaka. Say something, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely right. Once again, good morning and welcome to is it the 6th or the 7th again? The 7th. Okay, well, I say the 7th global edition and the 6th local edition of the Nigerian International Film and Television Summit. And all that we could have said in the introduction, the founder, Ojoma Ochai, had already done justice to that. Once again, please, can we give a great round of applause for that? For the initiative of this opportunity to network. And when you look at the conversations from your brochure, you see that we are trying to move our industry from what we're doing in-house and to extend it to the outer world. And of course, we're going to be talking a lot about positioning ourselves globally, making good money out of it. I mean, this is a great time to earn in foreign currency. You know why, right? So I think as we continue, we will get ourselves ready, get ourselves geared up for the next level of film and television business in Nigeria. So I will hand over once again for the introduction of the next item, and then we'll be doing this side by side.
Exactly. Thank you, Daniel. So you'll be seeing a lot of him as well. Does anybody remember what this year's theme is? Did you miss it? Did anybody notice it? Did you notice? Break the ceiling. That is audacious. I love that. So when I saw it, I'm like, break the ceiling. Like, scatter the table. Do you understand? So I really, really love that. But actually, even it's high time we did. So let's shatter everything. Let's take over. Nollywood, what are you guys waiting for? So move out, step out, as Ojoma said. So I like this year's theme, break the ceiling, identifying barriers towards global crossovers, positioning and opportunities. So there are opportunities. So I tell people where I see development, there's opportunity. Where you even see lack, there's an opportunity. So on that note, we'll jump to our keynote speaker for today. Her name is Ojoma Ochai. She's the managing partner of the creative economy at CcHub, which has a mission to promote inter-African and global trade, as well as collaborations that will stimulate African creative growth economy. She was previously Regional Director for British Council's Sub-Saharan Africa Arts and Creative Economy Program. She's also a member of the expert channel on the 2005 Convention in Cultural Expressions, where she delivered projects in places like Gambia, Nigeria, and Jamaica. Ojoma has worked with other institutions like the Swedish Arts Council and the World Bank. And after 15 years, she's been supporting the development of the global creative economy. Please do welcome Ojoma Ochai. Thank you.
Do I have two mics? Hello, everyone. Are we fighting before? You should answer me now. What's the problem? Hi, everyone. My name is Ojoma Ochai. As has been said, I'm talking about money this morning. Who likes money? Everyone. It would be good to know who's in the room. Is everybody here a filmmaker? Filmmaker, show of hands. Not a filmmaker, but curious about film. Shout it out. What do you do if you're not a filmmaker? Distribution, okay. What else? Journalism, TV content, exhibition, okay. What? I love it. I love it. Thanks. Okay, I've got a presentation. I hope it comes up at some point. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to say. Okay. So my name is Ojoma Ochai. I want to talk about unlocking funding pathways. Over the 17, 15 years of my career, I've either been in a position where I'm handing out money because I'm a funder or an investor, or in a position where I'm asking for money because I want to do projects. So I'd like to think that I know about money and how to get money as well as how to give money. And so I'm going to talk about, specifically from a film perspective, but also more generally about how the funding landscape works. And some of it is really basic, but Chui and I were chatting earlier. There's some really basic stuff that we assume that people know, but if you haven't done it before, why would you know it, right? If you haven't raised money before, why would you know how to do it? So hopefully it's useful. Challenges faced by emerging filmmakers. At the moment, I run a company that does investment in mainly create tech companies, so companies that are startups and tech-based, but that are focused on the creative industries. And every day I get in the region of, I don't know, 5 to 10 pitches. Either somebody sends me a random LinkedIn or sends me an email with a deck or whatever. So I know that there's very limited resources. Whether you're a filmmaker, whether you're an exhibitor, whether you're a producer, whether you're in distribution, there are limited resources. There's also a lot of competition. If you're doing anything, there's probably 10, 100 other people that are doing it. And there's a lot of uncertainty for various reasons, not least because we don't know what the Naira is doing, but also for other reasons. There's a lot of uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the biggest challenges in a funding context. This is how I feel most days of the week, like what is going on? There's one critical thing that's the most important thing. Who knows the most important thing when you're raising funding? What's the most important thing to know? Who wants to guess? Say that again. Not really. Not always. Not everybody wants their money back. Not everybody wants it back. Who else wants to guess? What's the most important thing to know when you're raising funding? According to the book of Ojoma, that is. Actual budget. That's a good thing to know. It's not the most important thing. Where to go to is important. It's not the most important thing. Viability is important. It's not the most important thing. I don't even know what to say to that. The most important thing, if you don't remember anything that I say here, when you're raising funding, is understanding why funders fund. If you don't know why a funder funds, you can never get money from them, right? And it's a mistake that I see people make all the time. They come and ask you for money and promise you a return, for example, when a return is not what you want. And so I think the most critical thing when you're raising finance is just knowing this person that I'm asking for money, why do they fund? In my experience, there's 5 reasons why funders fund. All the reasons why funders fund in the world, as far as I'm concerned, can be broken down into 5 things. The first one is their mission. So there are organizations that have a mission that they're advancing. If you know what the mission they're advancing is, it's very easy to enter them, as we say. Because when you're making an ask, and that's something I always find that people do, a lot of people say, help me, or I want to do this project, or this is the best project ever. In my experience, frankly, funders don't really care about you. And maybe it's harsh, I can be harsh, but it's not really about you. It's about what's the funder interested in? So if a funder is interested in, and a lot of international organizations, I used to work for the British Council, I used to get tons of proposals that would say, we're here to develop the film industry in Nigeria, i.e. the person proposing, and it's like, that's nice, that's not why I'm here. And so your proposal, it may be a wonderful project, it's not what I'm here, it's not my mission. And so with the best will in the world, our objectives don't align. So it might be a great project, I might hustle tickets to your premiere, but I will not give you money. Similarly, I see Victor just walked in. He has a lot of money. He's going to speak shortly. You should ask him for some. Africa No Filter are focused on narratives, right? If you pitch them, I don't know, teenage mental health. It may be the best teenage mental health project in the world. It's not aligned to their mission. So the first reason why funders fund is that there is something in their mission that they're trying to change. Sometimes the mission is about mental health. Sometimes the mission is about international relations, like the British Council, cultural relations. Sometimes the mission is youth empowerment. Sometimes the mission is social development. And many of these funders that are mission-focused, they tend to be not-for-profit, so they're not asking for a return back. But if you're pitching them a project, it has to be a project that's advancing their mission. What do I mean? So if a project is promoting, let's say, women in politics, let's say there's a funder, you've looked at their strategy and they say they're promoting women in politics. If you have the best film that's talking about, I don't know, something else. That's important, it's good, it's just not what they do. They're never going to fund it. So the first thing to know is, if you're pitching, what's the mission? What mission are they advancing? There's some other funders that fund for access. And this is where a lot of people that fund for marketing, if they want to promote their brand, or they want to get access to cool people. So a brand that funds something like, I don't know, Lagos Fashion Week, they probably want to get access to cool Gen Zs that are going to Lagos Fashion Week, so they'll fund Lagos Fashion Week. But if you don't know why the funder is funding, you'll be pitching them a different thing to what they're interested in funding. I would say in my work, 90% of the proposals or the pitches I get, I don't spend more than 2 or 3 minutes on. Because once it's not aligned to what I'm interested in, the standard regrets. My team have different samples of emails that they send. I'll look at it for 2 minutes, and all funders do this, whether they admit it or not. They'll send it to somebody to send you a nicely worded regrets because it doesn't align with what you're interested in. Some people fund for status. So if you think about high-profile things, I don't know, polo tournament, A funder that funds a polo tournament wants to be associated with luxury. They want to be associated with a certain brand lifestyle. If you go and pitch that type of funder to say you want to do a project in Oworonshoki, it's not of interest. They're funding for status, right? Other funders fund for social life. When I say social life, they want to go to cool parties, right? I'll be EP on a film so that I can go on the red carpet for the premiere. And that's perfectly valid. Some people fund because they want to improve their social life. Returns is only one reason, one example of why funders fund. So I'd say if you are pitching to anybody, the first thing you do before you even write one word in an email is to figure out, and it's through research, why is that funder funding? So that your immediate pitch to them is connected to why they're funding. Something I find a lot is that people are ashamed to ask for money. I'm not, because it's an exchange of value. You're not helping me, right? If you give me money, I'm helping you do something. So Victor has given me money. He knows he's not helping me. We're helping each other. And so I feel like that's the mentality that people need to have, because people approach fundraising with shame, with begging. And I'm not saying don't be humble, right? But if you're clear that there's an exchange of value and you know what the value you're exchanging for money is, I think it becomes a lot more compelling to whoever is investing. Because even the people funding, they have KPIs. It's not their money. They're not going to spend it like personally. The person in the job that's doing the grants and writing the investment, they have KPIs. So if you think about it from that perspective, you're a lot more confident about presenting the value that you're giving them in exchange for the money that you're receiving. I'm going to whiz through now. I think I've got only like 5 minutes left. When you know why funders fund, you need to understand how funders fund. Some funders will do grants, and here I've just listed different types of resources or ways that you can access resources. People that do grants tend to do it one of two ways. They either do solicited grants, in which case, at a certain time every year, they'll do a call for proposals, and they will ask you, submit proposals, pitch us. Some will do unsolicited, and so you have to, I don't know, go to the event, stalk them on LinkedIn, whatever, to get them to invite you to submit a proposal. My slides have gone. Other people, another way to access resources, film festivals are a great way. I know that lots of film festivals have resources for filmmakers. Crowdfunding is an interesting one. I was listening to a guy, Aaron Kunz, I think he's called. He raised $1.4 million off Kickstarter to make a film, an independent film. And a lot of you may think, oh yeah, he's in America, Kickstarter doesn't work here. But I think I have a slide that shows Nigerian projects that have been funded on Kickstarter. A mistake that a lot of people make is they use the tools for fundraising as they substitute the tools for fundraising with the process of fundraising. So putting a project on Kickstarter and expecting it to get funded, it's like doing a deck and leaving the deck inside your computer and waiting for magic to happen. Kickstarter, whatever crowdfunding platform, is a tool. This guy, Aaron Kunz, when he was talking about how they raised money, they put the project on Kickstarter, they did a campaign with an influencer, they did a whole range of marketing, and so they hustled to get the message out there. So when you do crowdfunding campaigns, they're very much around a tool for fundraising. They're not a substitute for the actual finding people that will go and click on your Kickstarter and put their money. And I feel like that's where a lot of people fall down. Equity, investors, people that are looking for a return, or debt. Again, even for those ones, you may know that they're funding for a return, but there's still very specific mechanics around the way those people fund. Unfortunately, we haven't got a lot of time to go in depth into it, but you need to be really open to understanding the different instruments that funders use to fund, so that you won't go and be asking somebody that does equity to give you a grant, or you won't go and be asking somebody that only does loans to come and take 10% of your company for, I don't know, $100,000, whatever. Next slide. Know the funding landscape. A lot of fundraising is really research. If you don't know who's funding, you don't know who to ask for money. Somebody told me once that he does a lot of investment from private investors. And he told me that his best people to pitch, is an American guy, his best people to pitch are dentists. Who knows why? Anybody want to guess? Dentists in America? Because they have money. Like, he likes to pitch them because they have money. According to him, they're pretty boring. And so when he goes to them to pitch for film, he raises a lot of money. Because remember my first slide, they're looking for a social life because they're dentists, they have money, they want something cool to do when they're not being a dentist. And so he raises a lot of money for film from dentists. What's the equivalent in a Nigerian context? Tech bros have a lot of money. They too are pretty boring. So maybe we should be pitching more tech bros. The Black Book, I saw a whole list of tech bros and sisters. But know the funding landscape. Beyond the institutional investors, you also need to know the individuals that fund. I've got a couple more slides, I think, that I'm going to whiz through. I mentioned there's projects on Kickstarter that have been funded. So it's not just an American thing. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. I think there's just one last slide. The skills, previous slide. The skills that you need, a lot of people think about proposal writing as a skill for fundraising. It's just one skill. I think the first skill you need in fundraising is research. You have to know who has money. You have to know who has money. And you can't know who has money unless you're researching on LinkedIn, on IMDb, just randomly on social media, going to events and knowing who has money. I always tell this story. I'm going to redact some of the names, but about one of the people I've raised the most amount of money from. About 10 years ago, there was an announcement that they were managing a large fund. And in my head, I want to pitch them, but I don't know them, right? And so it was around December, Christmas time. I saw that the head of the, I'm trying to say the story without letting you know who I'm talking about. But the head of the organization was going to be speaking at an event. And so I went to the person that was holding the event, and I begged him to please seat me at the table where this person was going to be sat. And we sat at the same table, had a nice dinner. The guy told me that his kids were going to uni in the UK. I worked for the British Council at the time. And I told him, I'll help you look into some good schools. From this chance meeting, they've funded me several times now. But it's about research. Like, I knew who had money. I found them. I didn't send them a cold email. We had a chance meeting. And the rest is history. You have to understand legal business, and you have to have that knowledge. People want a well-written pitch. Whether they're doing it for their mission or their social life or whatever, they want to trust that the person that they're giving the money to can actually help them achieve the thing that they want to achieve. And if you don't understand the business, you don't understand the legal implications and so on, it becomes really difficult. Networking is critical. Some of you will go to events, not talk to anybody. Chinwe was talking about it. If you want money, people fund people they know. And it's not in a bad way. It's not in a, what's the word, nepotism. It's not about that. It's just, if I don't know you, like, I don't know whether you can do the thing that I need you to do, whether it's aligned to my mission or the cool parties I want to go. And so networking is so critical. And then the last slide, and I'll close, is your online profile. People don't think about this. In today's world, almost every single person that's going to give you money will Google you. What do people find when they Google you? I went to a demo day once, and I heard a really, really lovely pitch for this guy that was running a creative company, and I thought it was really interesting. When I Googled him, everything was about football. Like, if you are not even betting on yourself, who am I? Why would I bet on you if you're not betting on yourself? It seems like a small thing, But when you leave here today, Google yourself. If you can't find the thing that you're raising money for, I'm sorry, but you probably haven't started. So I'm going to end on that note. It's not easy. Most people will tell you no, but you have to keep shooting your shot. Somebody I saw on Twitter the other day, somebody said that they had done about 100 pitches or applications for things, and they've got 6 in this 2023. I'm not saying we should all break our backs, but it's not easy. You have to keep asking. People will say no. But I hope that with some of this information, I made it just a tad bit easier for people to raise money. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Ojoma. So very soon, we're getting ready. Ojoma, please sit. Thank you. We'll take like 2, 3 questions quickly. Questions for Ojoma? Okay, so we have one microphone, please. Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. Nice to see you again, Ojoma. Hi.
Good to see you.
Great. Now, it's known what you said. It's important to research on the funders. I think it will be useful if you can give us some tips. For instance, how do I know that a fellow, all he's looking for is a social life? So, because you wouldn't find that, really. So some tips, really, how do we find out some of this stuff about the potential funders?
Thank you so much. That's a very good question, Dr. Obiaya. So first thing is mission-driven organizations, for example, they will always publish what their mission is. So for organizations, it's pretty easy. If you Google them, look at their press releases in the last 2 or 3 years. What did they talk about as being the reason? If they've partnered with NIFS, in the press release, what did they say was the reason? You look on their website, what's their mission, what's their strategy? If they publish annual reports, you look at their annual reports, what did they fund last year? So with organizations, it's pretty easy. But for individuals, if you look at the high-profile events, say if you take Lagos Fashion Week or Artex, VIP reception, look at the Instagram photos. Who are the people that were there in their best clothes? Do you see what I mean? Sometimes it's not obvious. And when you start to see a pattern, I can tell you 10 people off the top of my head that have money, and you will always see them in VIP receptions, cocktails. And I know that this one, you like to go out. So if I have a project that involves a party, best believe that's the person I'm going to ask. So sometimes it's as obvious as just looking at their website and their press releases. Other times is looking at who's doing a similar thing to what you're trying to do and who goes to those things. I use Google Alerts a lot. There are some people I'm tracking. Maybe I want to ask them for money in 2 years' time. But I'll put a Google Alert on their name. It's a bit stalkerish, but... And when I'm pitching them, it's a very familiar pitch. Because I've seen what they funded, I've seen what they've done, I've seen where they've been. And so when I've also been at some of those things so that I'll have a chance meeting. So when I'm pitching them, it's a familiar pitch. So I think it's also about being creative about how you research. But I found, with a few exceptions, some people that give money, they're really quiet and they don't want to be known. But most people in today's world, by following their socials, putting Google Alerts, all those things, you will know. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other question? This way. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Ahis. I'm a content creator for a different industry from the film industry. I'm an aviation and a tourism person, so I'm trying to set up something that has to do with aviation, travels and tourism, trying to pioneer a TV and a radio station for that industry. Good enough. From now, I've made you my mentor, Ojoma. So there's a question I'm going to ask, but the approach you just laid down, it's perfect. I've tried it a couple of times in different places, it's not worked. Why? For just one reason, and I want a solution to that problem. What's the room for startups? No matter how much you draft, you strategize, you don't drop these proposals with so much, English grammar inside. It never sails through. Just for one reason, because, what have you done before? If you don't start some way, somehow, and fail some way, somehow, over time, who would give you that chance? I'm a startup person in this industry, But the good thing is God led me to seeing you as a mentor today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it raises a very good point. I said before, most funders, if you haven't taken a bet on yourself, I'm not going to take a bet on you. So with the best idea in the world, if you have not done it, then why would I fund it if you haven't figured out a way to do it? I can't love you. I can't love your project more than you love your project. I show Ojoma, the first NIFS you did, you hustled to do it. So I feel like a lot of people have ideas, and ideas are a dime a dozen. People get pitched. Anybody that gives money gets pitched lots of times. How do I differentiate idea one from idea two? It's much more, it's easier to differentiate between proof of work. Right? If you've done it, we can look at the results and say, no matter how small, and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work, this was the scale, and this is what we know we're building on. So I'd say at the startup phase, it's really difficult, and you typically would need to have done it before. There are exceptions, obviously. If you have track record in one sector, you can translate that track record to another sector, but you have to have something that is in your hands. Who remembers the story of Moses? For those of you that still read the Bible, they asked him, Moses, what is in your hand? Nobody is going to fund you if there isn't something that they can see, unfortunately.
Sorry, is that good? All right. So any other questions? Who?
Oh, there's one question.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. After that, yeah. Go ahead.
Hello. I just wanted to ask, what are some good negotiation tips that you can recommend for someone who wants to pitch their ideas to other people? Let's say it's via email that you only have access to. What are some good tips that you can use to make sure it's a successful pitch?
Very good question. Offer them something. Don't ask. If you've researched me, you know that I'm looking for creative companies in Kano, for the sake of argument. Offer me access to your network in Kano. Because funders want something. They're not giving the first slide. All of them want something. So offer them what you think they want. And it will intrigue them enough to... They're also not stupid. If you're offering them something, you want something. But it's an exchange of value. So cold emails, if you've offered me something, it's much easier for me to want to read the rest of it and explore a partnership or funding. So I would say that's the single biggest tip. Offer them something.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I came in a bit late, but I was able to pick up a few things. For someone like me, I host a breakfast show on television, which is quite popular. And unfortunately, people see me and think that I just have it all. But I hope to get a show, which is mine. I host a show that doesn't belong to me. Now, the thing is, what I can offer is something that doesn't belong to me. So, for example, if I see a lender and I want to say, you know what, you can come on my show, you can do stuff with my TV show, it's not me giving you value. It's my station giving you the value. So I find it difficult to approach somebody who wants to fund me. Yes, they recognize me. They say, oh, I think you can do this. But that fear of what do I have to give is always a problem for me. So how do you think I can pitch in that situation? Thank you.
Thanks very much. People fund people they know. If you're on TV, I feel like that's already one hurdle crossed. If you've brought them on your show, they probably want to come to your party because people like cool things, right? And so if every year you did what's your name, sorry? You did Mariah's brunch for, I don't know, fintech startup founders, 12 of them that have come to your show in the last year. You do a brunch and invite them and tell them, oh, by the way, I'm starting this show, here are the numbers. So I feel like you have something that a lot of people don't have, that access, because you've offered them value. And also, I don't tend to be that pedantic, right? The people that were funding me in British Council, when I left, I went to meet them again. I've come again, and here's what I can do for you this time. So I don't think you should be pedantic about whose value you're offering them. You have access to them. How can you be creative with that access you have and get them to come together around something else that you want to do? That's with the benefit of 2 minutes of thinking about it, but that would be my initial thought is, how do you use the access that you have and invite them into the thing that you want to do next? I hope that helps.
Thank you. Do we have time for another question, or is there another question at all? Okay, Ojoma, thank you so much. You got me thinking. This
Thank
whole
you.
funding thing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
One last thing. When I at the beginning, when I give talks about money, I always have money in my pocket, and I always hope that somebody asks me for the money. I had 50 euros. Nobody asked.
I was going to ask you, man. Ojoma, I was going to ask you.
Ask.
All right, thank you so much, Ojoma. Can we please give her another hand of applause? Okay, can we please make welcome the Minister for Information? Please, a hand of applause for him. All right.
I'm being conscripted, so to say something. I just came in to look at what you're doing. Great work you are doing. We hope that this will herald a new future for the broadcast industry in Nigeria. Thank you for doing this. We appreciate it. Thank you.